confidential thing, because he doesn't come in the form of Krishna with his beautiful Shama Sundar, bluish complexion and like that, but rather he's hidden he comes in the form of a devotee, not just any devotee, but in the form of the primary devotee, and that is the Krishna's internal pleasure potency. And what's her name? Radharani, yes. So he has a golden complexion. But here we have also his primary first expansion. That's Nityananda. Just like in Braj Leela in Vrindavan, though Krishna's first expansion is Balaram. And then in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, Balaram has taken the form of Nityananda. Yeah, there was a young Nityananda Bhakta. I can hear the voice there. So, one thing is that Krishna says in the Adi Purana, I think it is, to Arjuna, that those who say that they're my devotee, they're not really my devotees. But the ones who are devotees of my devotees, they're the real devotees. So Krishna says also in various places that it's more efficient or more effective and more powerful to worship his devotee. Because Krishna wants to see, Krishna is very, very fond of his devotees. He's a person. And when his devotee exhibits pure love for him, then Krishna becomes actually captivated. Can you imagine? This is Krishna, he's the source of everything. He's Atmarama, fully satisfied. There's nothing lacking in him. He doesn't need anything. Except for, still, aside from that, he becomes captivated when even a small, insignificant, devotee purely approaches him with, unalloyed love. Then Krishna actually becomes captivated. That's an amazing thing. So we're focusing on this prayer of the Guru-Ashtaka because the devotee is very, very dear to Krishna, and if we glorify a devotee, as we do with the spiritual master particularly, then Krishna becomes very pleased. It's even more powerful than glorifying Krishna. So let's focus on that Guru-Ashtaka. So I would like to open the floor here a little, because we have various devotees here who are very familiar with this prayer. And so I would like various devotees to speak up a little on a little of the 8 verses. There's 8 verses. So I'll try to, kick off the mood here, maybe Krishna's mercy here, by speaking about my spiritual master, our founder Acharya. He's, for everyone in ISKCON, he's the Shiksha Guru and the founder Acharya. He's our, criterion, or our central point, our basis. And his books and his teachings are the guidelines for all other spiritual masters following him. But I would like to speak about the first verse of the Guru-Ashtaka in terms of Prabhupada. But I would also like to speak about the 3rd verse, and there I would like to speak about another guru for us, for me, and for many of us, I think, who's but one step at a time. So let's begin by first speak a little bit about the first verse. I'll read the translation, and then just say how that applies to Srila Prabhupada. Then I'll speak about the 3rd verse, and I'll also speak about another guru and how that applies. And then we're going to open the floor. See if there's someone who's inspired to read the translation of one of the other verses to 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, and then speak about a spiritual master. Maybe your own spiritual master, or, another spiritual master. Okay? So, get ready. Don't be shy. Let's share our bhava here today, okay? Especially the older devotees, but also those who are maybe not so old. Okay. The translation of the first verse is that. By the way, this is a verse by this Ashtaka, this prayer is by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a very important spiritual master in this disciplic succession coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Vaishnava, the Vishnu Sampradaya. And the Gaudiya Vishnu Sampradaya is coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in his line, there's a very important spiritual master named Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And he wrote this 8 verses in praise of the spiritual master. He lived when? 1700 sometimes. Anybody have the exact dates in their head? Somewhere along that line. And so the first verse goes like this, if I can remember the translation. I offer my humble obeisances unto the spiritual master. He's like a rain cloud, which is extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. And therefore, I offer my humble obeisances unto the spiritual master. So let me get the exact one. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, to put it out. So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of such a spiritual master, who's an ocean of auspicious qualities. So I think Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, fits this, perfectly, because he really relieves us of anxiety. If you come to the temple and you open the door and you feel some relief from anxiety, then that is Krishna consciousness. And that's coming from Srila Prabhupada. He's extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. And what is that? This is our entanglement in this materialistic paradigm, the whole materialistic concept of life. And, just like he gave us a Bhagavad Gita, how many here have read at least some of the Bhagavad Gita? Everybody. Okay, so the very first thing that Krishna says practically is in the second chapter, in the second verse, and he takes the position of Guru, the original Guru, Krishna, and he talks to Arjuna as a teacher, and he tells him, you have Hridaya Durbalyam. Hridaya, that means the heart, and Dura means bad, and Balya means weakness. So you have become very weak-hearted. Why is that? Because he's overwhelmed with identifying with his body, and he's thinking of my family, my brothers, my sisters, my country, my duty, and this and that. Duty has forgotten about, actually, but he's thinking of material bodily identification with matter, the family, over-attachment. Family is good, of course, and that's our natural objects of affection. Our, parents, we should be very respectful and grateful to them. They've given us an opportunity of living life. And our children, we have responsibilities. They're, byproducts and physical sense. So they're natural objects, but the real service that we can render to them and everyone else is when we are ourselves on the path of spiritual enlightenment. We're getting free from anxiety of, this material world of growing old, getting sick and dying. That's the anxiety. What will happen next? That's anxiety. Okay? So the spiritual master extinguishes that. And therefore, the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. He's not creating some charisma of his, personal character of, some yogic power or something. No, it's much more than that. He's simply delivering the message which he has imbibed himself, but which he has received from his spiritual master, which comes ultimately from Krishna. So sometimes he gave the example, he's like a post-peon, a delivery man who just comes and gives you your paycheck, So, you take the paycheck and you like to offer obeisances to the postman, maybe, So thank you so much, right? So that's the spiritual master. So Prabhupada is very kindly doing that for us. Any questions or comments about this? It's the first verse. Yes. Uduranga Mataji.
I just remembered that one devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, when you were chanting Hare Krishna, what is your feeling? What is the inside with you? And Srila Prabhupada answered, I have no more fear, free from fear.
Right. Free from. Yeah, someone asked Prabhupada, what's your feeling when you chant Hare Krishna? And Prabhupada said, I'm completely free from all fear. That's the symptom. So the spiritual master, that's, if you're looking for a spiritual master, and if some devotee makes you feel completely fearless, you feel completely free from all anxiety by hearing from that devotee and serving, especially by serving that devotee, serving by hearing first of all, but serving anyway, then that's a symptom of a spiritual master. Okay, thank you. Anything else about first verse? Yes.
Prabhu, if you mentioned about the analogy of the spiritual master being the peon.
Peon, yeah, post-delivery man.
So, but if we see him in that way, then it can lead to some demeaning or kind of offensive to the Guru. So how do we understand that?
Okay, good question. A post-peon. Peon is a word that has like negative connotations in English. It means some insignificance. No importance. It's just a worker. Peon. But the spiritual master doesn't mind to label himself like that. But we should never label the spiritual master in anything less than the representative. He's the ocean. He's the representative of the ocean of mercy, and he himself is an ocean of unlimited qualities, right? So to call him a peon means that we're really respecting his humility. He's really taken a very humble position. He wants to be transparent. That's his great service. But what is he channeling? He's transparent, but what is he channeling? Krishna. He's the unlimited mercy and happiness and ocean of love. So it's not a diminution. Actually, his feeling of insignificance is actually his greatest glory. Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Anything? Yeah.
And I was just thinking about the part where it says, that just like a cloud that pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, I'm thinking of like sometimes we might be overwhelmed with how the world is on fire.
Oh,
There's that war, there's this war, there's this conflict,
right.
family conflicts, people are suffering so much. But
Yeah.
the Guru can, I can let go and let Guru.
Let go and let Guru.
I can't extinguish all of these forest fires in the material world.
You know, that let go, let God. You heard that? 12-step, this therapeutic, kind of Christian-oriented, maybe therapy, and now it's let go, let Guru. He's, adopted. Right. Well, yeah, Dalji and I were talking about this on the way here, about how the world is on fire now. It's just so many, like you mentioned. And my reaction was just on the top of that is that this Sankirtan movement, it's the Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It is the prime benediction for humanity at large. Why? Because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. In this age, the holy name is really the key, good word, the key to solve all the problems of conflict, of economy, of environment, of hatred, lust, and envy, and anger, and exploitation, sending poor animals to a cruel death in the slaughterhouse thoughtlessly, and even doing it in the name of religion, animal sacrifices. So this is the prime benediction for humanity at large. So by chanting, by coming here and joining in this chanting, we're actually projecting a vibration into the atmosphere. Don't underestimate it. It's a very, very auspicious power which is put into motion by our collective chanting. Krishna says that, I'm not in Vaikuntha. I'm not in the heart of the yogi. But where is he? I'm where my devotees are gathered to chant and glorify my name. That's where Krishna is. And Krishna, he can put out a fire in no time, no zero for him. He's the best fireman. He's got an unlimited fire brigade. And it shows up on time, and it's fully equipped, and all the firemen are expert in his crew. So we shouldn't be hesitant. Thank you. Is that all right?
Can I add a comment?
Please.
Even
Where's the microphone?
Isn't it so that even if we just put our focus to the temple or to Krishna consciousness, we are Guru.
Okay. On that note, I'll overgo to my third verse here. I want to speak about one more verse, the third verse, and I would like to speak about another guru who has been important for us. Let's see, where's that text there? Guru-Ashtakam lyrics. Now the third verse is like this. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. In this case, we have Nitai Gaura Sundar. Okay, but he also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances under the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So I would like to focus on our, Vartma Pradarshika and Shiksha Guru Tapas Prabhu, who for decades was totally dedicated to the temple worship of Sri Sri Nitai Gaura Sundar. And under all circumstances, he was there day and night, and always managing and caring and arranging and organizing and doing all the things that are required here, as mentioned. Engaged in the temple worship, including getting Sunday feast cooked and and also keeping the temple clean and keeping the congregation enthusiastic by nice classes and like that. And even when the Ustadsred or whatever the name of that was, and they were giving such a hard time in Friedhelmsplan there, and still he, struggled on and on to try and maintain and then reestablished and here and cleaned up this place here. This room here was kind of not very nice here, but he rebuilt the place here. And that's Mandira Margina, clean up the temple, make it nice. And so we're greatly indebted to Tapas Prabhu for that, decades of dedicated commitment to the temple where we are now blessed to be situated. So we should be grateful and recognize him in that capacity. Any comments or questions before we go on to another verse? I would like to hear someone else speak up about read the translation of another verse and speak about spiritual miss. Yes, Miss
The
Ranga Mataji.
last maybe 2 years or something, he was, he had this trouble with his lungs. And he was just coughing and coughing and coughing. One could hear, the
More and more.
Prabhu is in the near here. Because he heard it. He was trying and trying and trying, and he wanted to give lecture. And he was sitting here and he was speaking, one or two sentences, and he was coughing. It went on like that again and again. Sometimes he sat in this chair in the corner there, and he was like totally finished, And he tried at least to comment, if there was a question or comment, and then he wanted to say things. And so I said, please bring him microphone. Please arrange that quickly the microphone will come to him. Yeah, we got so impatient. And he was coughing and coughing, my goodness. Such a hard time he had. But still, he kept the things going, and this is more than amazing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a demonstration. The Guru, shows us the path that we're all in a material body which is deteriorating quickly, and soon we will also be facing the final breath. So we should, before that time comes, we should prepare ourselves by training ourselves to remember Krishna, just like Tapas Prabhu was exhibiting. Even though he was, challenged by so many physical illnesses, and couldn't even hardly breathe, but still he was demonstrating that if you simply depend on Krishna and remember Krishna, then you're in good shape. Maybe the body is totally wrecked and you're going quickly down to the final breath. But if you're able to remember Krishna, then you're in good shape. This is called faith. Shraddha Shabdi Vishwas Karila Udai. I don't remember the second line, but the point is that if you are Krishna conscious and you're able to remember Krishna, then you are confident that that's the most important thing. Whether what will happen with the bank balance or what will happen to your children and grandchildren and so many other concerns, the main thing is to remember that you are Krishna conscious. And that's the best service we can do actually to our family members. And say to the congregation. Why is that? Yeah, because Krishna is so kind upon his devotee that he gives special protection to the family members and the descendants. And you could even say the disciples of his disciples. even if his or her, I'm speaking just from the male point of view, but, even if they're non-devotees, that's the amazing thing of Krishna's mercy. He will protect our family members, even if they're non-devotees, because if we are devotees. So in other words, what I'm getting around to is like, Tapas's example is this, that the very best service you can do to a family is to become a pure and exclusive devotee of the Lord. Even if it entails that you set aside the family members. But, because you are a devotee of the Lord, then Krishna will intervene with all his unlimited powers of protection and put them in a special bubble. Even if they're, not really 100% Krishna conscious devotees, they'll get protected. Okay? Thank you. Yes?
One more thing. All those who were assembled here when Tapas Prabhu's body was here for the last darshan. Anyone could see, and many devotees told me also, did you see his face? Totally peaceful, shining. Totally effulgent. He was kind of very happy.
Like in this photo.
Yeah, something like that. He looks more, smile up here on the picture, but it was kind of a natural outcome from the soul,
Glow.
So,
Glow.
Glow, okay, glow. Yeah. Everyone who was here, anyone who saw it, it was like that. It was so impressive.
Yeah, we're talking about the devotee who was the temple president here for decades, and he passed away, I think it was in June, wasn't it? Yes?
15th of June.
15th of June. And then when he passed away, his body was brought here, and there was a kirtan here, very nice farewell. And Guru-Ashtakam Mataji and others who were here, they could see that his face looked very nice. He was glowing, although he had left the body. Okay, now let's carry on here. Let's take another verse. That was 1 and 3. Yes.
I can take another verse here from Guru-Ashtakam. Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because he is relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind, sometimes his hair stands on end. He feels quivering in his body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So, in this verse, of course, the explanation is about a completely pure devotee, a devotee who has developed completely pure prema bhakti, or pure devotion to Krishna, to Radha Krishna. So we cannot so is this okay? So here, the explanation here is, of course, about the completely pure spiritual master, a completely pure soul, a soul who has developed pure love for Krishna, prema bhakti. So we cannot imitate this, of course not, but it's an inspiration for us to see how a very, very elevated, advanced, pure devotee is actually showing symptoms like this. And we are actually in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Transcendental Sankirtan movement. So it's also actually our duty to try to somehow spread this wonderful Transcendental Sankirtan movement. And one way of doing that is going out on Harinam. So we are doing Harinam in Stockholm every Saturday. We are group devotees going out every Saturday in Stockholm doing Harinam. Sometimes we are 5 devotees, sometimes we are 10 devotees, sometimes we are 15 devotees. And even though, at least myself, I may not be a pure devotee at all, but still one can really experience this wonderful power that comes from chanting the holy names of Radha and Krishna out in the streets of a city like Stockholm. And one can really see how people get so inspired, people get so happy. One can see that they are suddenly waking up from their how to say, normal, traditional material life. They get something else. So in this simple manner, just going out in the streets of a city, or just like in Stockholm here, one can really inspire so many people. So many people can suddenly feel that, oh, here is something else, here is something different, there is something that can, it's not just something artificial or something, some show or something. They're actually experiencing something. So to be part of this Harinam, for example, is a very wonderful way of experiencing something, because Krishna consciousness is not just a dry theory, it's something practical, it's something very essential and something that one can directly experience. And for example, Harinam is a very, very powerful way of doing that, a very, very powerful way. And again, we may not be on the same level as these wonderful pure devotees that, like is explained in this verse here. We may not, our hair may not stand at the end, and tears will not flow from our eyes, but at the same time we can also experiencing something that gradually can develop into this, because we are striving to become pure devotees ultimately. That's our goal, to become pure lovers of Krishna, pure lovers of Radha and Krishna. So I feel that this verse is very inspiring, and it's inspiring to follow the great devotees, the footsteps of the great devotees, like Srila Prabhupada and other great devotees and acharyas. Hare Krishna.
Very good point. We, as followers of Lord Chaitanya, I'm looking for something I don't get right out of here, so just when one becomes practiced at remembering the Supreme Lord, then one gradually becomes free from all unartas. And when one is very pure, then one gets taste. And why is that? Because one actually begins to see that Krishna is there in his name. And when one sees that, he becomes naturally ecstatic. And he also begins to see what his relationship with the Lord is. And then these symptoms start to appear, he becomes overwhelmed with joy. And it's the goal. That's where we're headed. That's what we're supposed to come to. It's not something artificial. That is innate within us, but we've forgotten, unfortunately. So let us continue to practice regularly, chanting, and then get to the point where we remember. And then one wonderful day we'll be able to actually see the Lord is there in his name, and that will give us intense taste for carrying out his service. Sometimes devotees don't exhibit these symptoms, although they have them, because of circumstances. Lord Chaitanya, he saw Ramananda Roy and he became overwhelmed. He was, exhibiting all these symptoms. But then there were some kind of, worldly brahmanas there, so he cooled himself down, But there are symptoms of bhava, even if they don't exhibit it. And one of them is they're very attached to the holy name. They're very concerned to not waste even 1 second outside of doing service for Krishna. They're very attached to live in a place where Krishna's pastimes, like Vrindavan, or maybe New Brahmakund here, they're attached to such places. And they're like that. There are various symptoms by which one can understand that the devotee is actually on the purest level, even if they're not exhibiting their ecstatic symptoms. Nice. That was 3. Now we've done 1. That was 2, sorry. I did 1 and 3, and now Bhaktinidhi did 2. So we still have 5 more verses. Someone would like to read the translation of one of the other verses and speak about it.
Is it okay to give just a little comment on the previous?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Or just observation? The observation on this ecstatic symptoms, I'm thinking also how enthusiasm and genuine enthusiasm can be very attractive. So even if we are not on the level of exhibiting these ecstatic symptoms, the enthusiasm can be a way of preaching. Enthusiasm for any type of service or actually any activity. And one can preach just by being enthusiastic and become a guru in that way. Because many people who, in ISKCON, many devotees, many Vaishnavas who have inspired me on daily basis were people who had enthusiasm, and they didn't have to preach, they could just be, exist, and I would be swept in their energy field, if one can say like that. Yeah.
It's contagious,
It's contagious, yeah.
you know. And that's when we all have duties in the world, I'm sure, you know, where we're associating with all sorts of people who are not entirely, you know, in good standing as far as the regulative principles of pure devotional service are concerned. But you know, we can always be in their association, but we should be careful not to give them our heart. We should reserve our heart and our feelings of attraction to those who are contaminated, who are, you know, enthusiastic. Next.
I just had one comment about the holy name and the symptoms of the holy name, and I mean that's also one of the amazing gifts of Srila Prabhupada and our Vaishnava Guru Parampara. That, I mean, many said it was impossible to spread the holy name in the Western world, and some disciples of had tried that before Prabhupada, but it didn't work out. But Prabhupada came here, and suddenly everyone was chanting the holy name. And I had an experience. I went to Mayapur, and my first time I went to Mayapur. I'm a Swedish guy. I've always been in you know, here in Stockholm in Govindas. This is my home, and I've been like really scared of going to the Holy Dam and I was not feeling, you know, comfortable. So, but I went there to take Diksha by my guru. And one of the miracles that happens, a lot of miracles happened, but was like I was in a kirtan in front of Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur, and you know, there were so many people from all over India, pilgrims, and I was there. I think I was maybe the only Westerner, you know, the only white people. But I was feeling so at home, chanting the Nrsingadev prayers. And I locked eyes with this Indian boy, you know. We couldn't speak any language that we could, but we could connect so deeply with our devotion to Lord Nrsingadev and the holy name, you know. And we were like, I felt like we were friends for hundreds of years before or something, you know. We were so happy together and sharing that. That was very, very unique. And I felt at home, so far away from, you know, cold Brahma. And so that's an amazing power of the whole name and the gift of Guru Parampara.
Yeah, that sounds like the 7th verse. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. So you went to the Holy Dham to get Diksha from Kadambakananda Maharaj, and by his association, then you become, like a live wire, connected to the electricity there. Okay, so now we've done 1, 2, 3, and 7.
That's the fourth.
Yeah, okay.
The fourth. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasad, he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord's feet of such a spiritual master.
Comment?
Jai.
Maybe I want to comment on
Go
that.
ahead, please. That needs a comment.
Yeah, because I
Who here,
remember.
who here likes prasadam? Anybody?
No.
Anybody thinks it tastes good and you like eating prasadam and it makes you feel so. Go ahead.
So I think I heard a pastime of Prabhupada that once Prabhupada saw some poor kids in Mayapur, they were looking for food and they didn't have it, and I think they were looking into the junk, the dustbin or something.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada had tears in his eyes out of compassion, and then he declared to devotees that within this much radius of the temple, nobody should go empty stomach. They should have some prasad. And of course, Prabhupada promoted so much of prasadam distribution through Govindas, through Food for Life and so many programs. And not ordinary food distribution, because ordinary food can fill the belly for some time, but it doesn't free us from the karma and the implications of the material world. But Prabhupada emphasized distribution of Krishna Prasad because it helps one get out of the material existence and come closer to Krishna. So every program, the whole Sunday program was named after Prasadam, Sunday Love Feast. So, and I also heard Prabhupada made some statement somewhere that in every temple we should aim at the pole star when, I'm paraphrasing, it's not the exact one, but when anybody can come in and we have some prasadam for them. So we hope we can reach that day, but yeah, this is very inspiring.
Right.
Give a little addition to this. I heard from my Guru Maharaj. He was telling that there had been a festival. Everybody has taken, prasadam up to the neck, and he was in his room with my Guru Maharaj, and suddenly there was a brawl outside. It was such a fighting sound. So Srila Prabhupada went out to the balcony and he was looking down and he saw children were fighting with the dogs about the remnants of the, these banana plates which are empty, put in a garbage pile. And there's little prasadam every, when something, it was just too much, and they were fighting with the dogs to get something, and Srila Prabhupada tears were just pouring down his cheeks. And then he said, thank you for this report. That was so beautiful. I mean...
in this regard, I think we can recognize Lord Jesus as our Guru, because he was non-violent, but there was one instance when he became violent, and that was when he stormed the temple in Jerusalem, and he let free all the animals that were being sacrificed. He turned over the tables there, and let all the animals free. It was a revolution. It was a real attack. It was the one time that Jesus, otherwise he was, turn the other cheek. He was nonviolent. And also there was recently a very, just last year, a very elaborate documentary done where experts in biblical exegesis and they were studying the word that Jesus said from the gospel about when he went in and turned over the tables there. Normally it's translated that he said angrily to those who were selling the animals for their sacrifice there in the temple in Jerusalem. He said, normally it's translated, you have turned my father's house into a den of thieves. And then it's often interpreted that he was mainly critical that they were taking money. But actually this documentary went to great extent to consult with a expert in Oxford University about the word in the Hebrew original text, about what it means. And it not only means thief, but it actually means murder. So those who did this documentary, they meant to say that Jesus was actually against the slaughter of animals in the name of religion. And that's the one point that Srila Prabhupada criticized. He was very happy to see the churches in the West when he came here. That made him very glad. But he wanted not just nominal Christianity. He was encouraging them to follow. And the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not kill," but it's been reinterpreted that "Thou shalt not murder." But Prabhupada was meaning that the basis of religiosity is mercifulness, and that includes all living entities. Naturally, if you live in Lapland and there's absolutely nothing else, then maybe you have to sacrifice a reindeer. But just walk into Coop or Ika, we have so much. Why do we have to send poor animals to a vicious death in the slaughterhouse? And what effect that has on our karma? So Jesus is a spiritual master. He taught love and mercy and real nonviolence. So to be a vegetarian is not a tremendous accomplishment. There are many birds and other animals who are vegetarians. It's not a big deal. But like horses maybe, yeah. But like Shamdullah Prabhu said, the real point is to recognize the Lord and to be grateful to the Lord that He has sent us our sustenance. Yeah. Did somebody cook a Sunday feast here?
Yeah.
Hey, there will be prasadam today. Anybody interested in hanging around, or it's now? We'll just leave now, okay?
Yeah. Go home.
Okay, now it's time for the kirtan. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. Okay, so next time, if by Krishna's grace, I can come back another time. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Sundar. And we have 5 and 6, okay, and 8. 8, 5, 6, and 8. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Sundar ki jai.
Yogindra Prabhu ki jai.